Hello my lovelies, and welcome to our ultimate mega marathon class on pronouns. If you're appearing for your board exams or any competitive exam, then this single class will have you completely covered. In this power pack session, we'll break down everything that you need to know. Rules, tables, hacks, memory tips, and lots of examples. This is going to make mastering pronouns super easy for you. So hit that like button and download this video right now. Trust me, it might feel overwhelming at first, but this comprehensive masterclass is all that you will ever need. Save it and watch it whenever you need a refresher. And now, let's get going. Now, imagine a world where we had to repeat names every time we spoke. Ravi loves Ravi's dog because Ravi thinks Ravi's dog is cute. Oof, quite exhausting, right? So we need words which can be used in place of nouns to avoid repetition. Pronoun means for a noun. Example, he, she, it, they, who, whom, etc. Today we are going to look at all the different types of pronouns, okay, and they're on the table here. We will go into their uses. We're going to take many different cases to understand their difference from a competitive exam point of view. Let's talk first about personal pronouns. These are called personal pronouns because they stand for three different persons. The person speaking, that's the first person where I and we are used. The person spoken to, the second person, you, and the person spoken of, which is the third person, he, she, it, and they. Now, let's look at these in detail. This table on your screen is the master table of pronouns. So make sure you pause it right now and take a screenshot. We're going to keep building on this throughout the class. This table gives all the personal pronouns categorized per different person, singular and plural. We've broken them into subjective and objective, which I'm going to explain shortly. It also covers possessive pronouns and possessive adjective form of each pronoun. Now note a few things. You is both singular and plural, and both subjective and objective. Also note, pronouns of third person singular usually have three genders, he, she, and it. But a few people associate themselves as they. And while that does kind of breaks the grammar rules, it's more inclusive and it's used in spoken English only. But in your exam, it would be advisable to use they for plural third person only. Great. So what is the difference between the subjective and the objective case? The subjective case is used when the pronoun is the speaker, the subject of the sentence, right? The objective case is used when the pronoun is the person spoken of, the object of the sentence. Let's take examples. I went to the store. I is the subject that's performing the action. The teacher called me. Me is now the object receiving the action. The teacher is the subject. She loves chocolate. She is the subject. And John gave the book to her. Her is the object, John is the subject. So now, here are three sentences that we hear quite commonly, so try to identify the errors. Her and I went to the mall. What is the mistake in this? Me and Jay are friends. Tell me, what is wrong? She scolded you and I. What about this? Give me all your answers in the comments below. Now, let's talk about the concept. The main concept here is that subjective case is used for the subject. What is the subject in sentences? I, he, she, they, we. Objective case is used for the object of the verb or the preposition, which is me, him, her, them, us. But this can be confusing, right? So here's a hack to crack this. Remove the other person from the sentence. What does that mean? Let's see it. She and I went to the mall, or she and me went to the mall. Now let's remove the other person. So let's remove she. Now, is it I went to the mall or me went to the mall? I went to the mall, right? So it should be she and I went to the mall. Try this simple hack for the other two sentences and tell me the right answer. Check it up and tell me which answer you've got. Okay. What is the difference between as and than? Both are used for comparisons. Look at this sentence. She is as tall as I or me. This one causes major confusion. And there's a simple hack for this as well. And I call it find the missing verb. She is tall, I am tall. Now these two are being compared. What if we complete the sentence? We would say she is as tall as I am. Not me am. That would be wrong. So am is the missing silent verb. He runs faster than her or she. Find the missing verb. He runs faster and she runs fast are being compared. Let's complete the sentence. He runs faster than she does. Does is the missing silent verb. He runs faster than her is wrong. And I know many of you are using this in your spoken English, but the correct pronoun would be she. He runs faster than she. She likes him more than I or me. Here, there is no missing verb. But can we break it up and complete the sentence? I would complete the sentence in two different ways. She likes him more than she likes me. So in this case, I'll use me. But what if I say she likes him more than I like him? So then it would be she likes him more than I. But you have to complete the sentence and find the missing verb, and only then you will get the right answer. Have you heard this joke? A lady died and went to the gates of heaven. She knocked on the door and a voice from inside asked her, "Who is it?" And the lady replied, "It is I." The voice said, "Oh no, not another English teacher." It is me, it is him, it is her are commonly spoken, but they are all wrong, and only English teachers seem to know that. The correct forms are it is I, it is he, it is she. The subjective form, since the pronoun is the subject in these sentences. Now, if you have any questions, leave me a message below. And I do read most of my messages and I will try to answer them. And before we move on, it's shout out time. And this week's shout out goes on to a very special viewer, Moon Wake. Please tell me your real name, but I'll call you Moon Wake. I'm so grateful for your message. It is so satisfying and humbling to read messages like this. May you be blessed and keep growing and shining forever. And if you want a shout out in my next video, share your experience with me below and make sure you include the hashtag ChetChatters. And let's take a quick look at the uses of personal pronouns. The first rule is that personal pronouns will have the same number, gender and person as the noun they are replacing. Let's take an example. Ronnie is a kind boy. He has lent his bicycle to Govind. Ronnie, singular, male, person, so he is used. Let's see what happens with collective nouns. Now, collective nouns are mostly treated as singular. In such cases, singular pronouns will be used. Example, the fleet will reach its destination in a week. The army has outdone itself. But in certain cases, the collective noun is used to represent separate individuals within the group. Example, the jury were divided in their opinions. In such cases, a plural pronoun will be used. What about when but is used? Take a look at these two sentences. Everyone came to the party, but I or me was late. Or everyone attended the meeting, but I or me. What's the difference? In the first sentence, but is used as a conjunction. It joins two clauses, similar to and. Everyone came to the party and I was late. So we would say everyone came to the party, but I was late. And we would use I, the subjective case, because it is the subject of the second clause. Everyone came to the party, I was late. Two clauses joined by and. But everyone attended the meeting, but. Now here but is used as a preposition, meaning except. Everyone attended the meeting but me. We use me, the objective case, because now it is the object of the preposition. This can be a little confusing, so I'm putting it down here on a small table. Take a screenshot and save it and come back to it and you'll find it easy. Now let's look at another use of personal pronouns, each and every. Each and every sailor was in his place. Even though they are joined by and, each and every means each one and everyone, so a singular pronoun is used. What about when or, either, neither are used? Sunny or Mani must lend his hand. Either Tia or Pia forgot to take her parasol. When singular nouns are joined by or either or, neither nor, the pronoun used is generally singular. But if the genders are mixed up, we then could use plural pronouns. Neither Ali nor Sheena have done their homework. Why? Because we don't know whether to say his or her, so we say their. But what if there are two nouns joined by either or by or, and one of the nouns is plural? Then what pronoun will we use? We'll use the plural pronoun. Either the manager or his assistants failed in their duty. Now we'll talk about either and neither soon when we talk about distributive pronouns after some time. Next, let's look at the order of priority. Is it my friends and I or I and my friends? Who comes first? Now remember this, the order of priority for pronouns is 2, 3, 1. The second person followed by the third person followed by the first person. You, Harry and I are going to the gym. Basically, the person we are speaking to comes first. We come last and the other, which is the third person, comes in between. The teacher scolded you and me, not me and you. Cool. I hope this is very clear to all of you. 2, 3, 1. And if you have any questions, don't forget to message me below. I've summarized all the uses in the table, which is on your screen. So pause the video and take a screenshot. Now, let's look at the difference between possessive pronouns and possessive adjectives. Pronouns are used instead of nouns. So in the same way, possessive pronouns are used to replace nouns to show possession or ownership. The car is mine. The choice is ours. Remember, these are all without an apostrophe. The book is hers, not her. Your bag is here, but my bag is there. Now, too many times we are saying bag. How do we replace it with a pronoun? Your bag is here, but mine is there. Since the pronoun replaces the noun, it is not followed by a noun. So we cannot say your bag is here, but mine bag is there. That will be completely wrong. Let's talk about adjectives. Adjectives always modify a noun. So possessive adjectives also modify a noun to show possession or ownership. This is my car. This is our house, not ours. This is her book, not hers. And just like all adjectives are followed by a noun, the possessive adjectives is also followed by a noun. Look at this sentence. Our nation is a great nation. Now, nation is a noun that is getting repeated, so we need to replace it with a pronoun. So we will write, ours is a great nation. Possessive pronoun like ours are used to replace the possessive adjective plus the noun. So ours is equal to our plus nation. Okay, I've put all this information into a table and you can pause the video right now and take a screenshot. Time to move on to the next big type of pronoun, which is reflexive pronouns. Reflexive comes from the word reflect. And just like rays reflect back, the action done by the subject turns back, which means reflects on the subject. I hurt myself. I did the action on myself. We found the answer ourselves after hours of research. We found it on our own. Reflexive pronouns always have self or selves. She fixed the car herself, no mechanic needed. He taught himself to play the guitar. Now let's see how our table of pronoun looks. Pause, take a screenshot. Reflexive pronouns are always in the objective case. Why? Because they reflect the subject, and both the subject and the reflexive pronoun refer to the same person or thing because they are a reflection of each other. We painted the house ourselves. The dog managed to free itself from the leash. Now for a common mistake. Which of these two sentences is correct? You and myself should handle this task. You and I should handle this task. Myself should never be used as a subject. One common mistake that we have seen in introductions where people say, myself Ajay Mehra. This is incorrect. Myself cannot be used as a subject. I am Chetna Vasishth or my name is Chetna Vasishth is correct. Now there is a sub-part of reflexive pronouns called emphatic pronouns. Example, I myself saw him do it. He himself said no. They themselves admitted the guilt. Here the pronouns are just used for emphasis, and that is why they are called emphatic pronouns. Now we've completed two major types of pronouns. Let's move to the third one, which is the indefinite pronouns. Indefinite is the opposite of definite. Definite means what? Something is clear, certain, or fixed. For example, you might have a definite plan, which means you know exactly what you're going to do and when. Indefinite means unclear and uncertain. Now, are you unclear what this means exactly? Let's take examples. Few were able to solve the puzzle. Some of the students were absent. We know maybe 3 or 4 students are absent, but it does not tell us specifically how many exactly and which students are being spoken of. Indefinite pronouns refer to people or things in a general way, not to any person or thing in particular. Example, someone, anyone, no one, everyone, somebody, anybody, nobody, and everybody. Okay, let's look at these two sentences. Everyone is excited about the trip, or everyone are excited about the trip. Which one is correct? This is another very common confusion I find with my students, but I have a hack for you. I call it the one body thing rule. Words ending in body, one, or thing are always singular, even if they sound plural. Everybody loves a good story. Singular verb, loves. None of the cake is left. Everyone is here. Nothing has changed. Okay, what about these two sentences? Somebody left their book on the desk. Somebody left his or her book on the desk. One body thing rule. The second one is formal and correct. The use of body makes it a living being, so we use his or her. Everything should be kept in their place. Everything should be kept in its place. One body thing rule. The second sentence is correct. Now what's wrong with this sentence? One should honor his word. When one is the pronoun, the related pronouns are one's or oneself, depending on the sentence. So one should honor one's word in subjective case where the object is word. And one should honor oneself in objective case where oneself is the object. Okay, now there are two sentences that you need to be very careful about. Everyone was laughing at the joke. Every one of the students received a certificate. What is the difference? Everyone versus everyone. Everyone, which is one word, means all people. It's used to refer to a group collectively. But everyone, two words, refer to each individual person or thing in a group, like every single one of them. It's typically followed by of or a specific noun. There are two hacks to know the difference. One, if you replace it with everybody and it works, then use everyone, the single word one. If it doesn't work, use every one, the two-word one. Let's check this out. Everyone was cheering loudly. I can also say everybody was cheering loudly. So, you'll use one word, everyone. What about, I know every one of you can succeed? If I try to say, I know everybody of you can succeed, it is wrong. So, we will use two words, every space one. The second hack, if the sentence is followed by of, it's likely everyone, two words. Example, every one of the apples was rotten. Cool. Now let's move on to the next type of pronoun, distributive pronoun. Each, either and neither are called distributive pronouns. It's like we are distributing something, so each person gets it. In the same way, these pronouns, each, either and neither, refer to persons or things one at a time. So they are always singular. Examples, each of the boys gets a prize. Either of these roads leads to the airport. Neither of the accusations is true. Now, either always means one or the other out of two. Either of the three roads is incorrect. The moment you say either of the roads, it's understood that there are two roads. Neither is the negative of either. It means not the one, not the other. Again, it means none out of two. So, either and neither should be used only when you're speaking of two persons or things. When more than two are spoken of, use any, anyone or none. You can take any of the four roads on the roundabout. Oh my God, that sounds like a crazy way to give directions, and this person will definitely get lost. But we use any or anyone when we mean one out of many. Any is short for many, and that's a clue for you. Each is used to denote every one of a number of persons or things taken singly. Each of the children received a reward. These books cost 200 rupees each. It means that every single book costs 200 rupees. Remember, if you have any questions, don't forget to leave them for me below and I'm going to answer them. Meantime, let's move on to the fifth type of pronoun, which is the relative pronoun. Notice these sentences. I met Hari. Hari had just returned. Try to combine them into one single sentence. I met Hari who had just returned. So relative pronouns are who, whose, which, what, that, whom. These are called relative pronouns because they relate to some noun that was mentioned earlier in the sentence. And they also help to connect two clauses or two sentences. Here is the book. You lent me the book. Let's combine this into a single sentence. Here is the book that you lent me. Some of these do look like question words like who, whose, which and what. But when they are used as relative pronouns, they do not ask questions. But what is the hack to find out whether they are used as a relative pronoun or a question word? Well, look at the end. A statement ends with a full stop, not a question mark. How do we decide which relative pronoun to use? Remember, we said that relative pronouns relate to some noun earlier in the sentence. This noun is called the antecedent of the pronoun. Antecedent means that which comes earlier. What is the opposite of antecedent? Comment below. Yes, it is subsequent, that which comes later. Okay, so did you know that who, whom and whose are connected? They're all related to people. Who refers to people or a person, and this person is the subject of the clause. So if the antecedent is people, singular or plural, we can use the relative pronoun who. The girl who danced was praised. The boys who shouted were scolded. Whom is the objective case of who. The boy whom I met yesterday was very kind. But how do we know when to use who and when to use whom? Who is used for the subject and whom is used for the object. I'll also give you a hack. If you can replace the noun by him or her, use whom. And the trick to remember is that they both have an extra M. So it's an easy way to remember. I met him. So the boy whom I met. The girl whom I saw was smiling. I saw her makes sense, right? So him and her and whom are all the objective case. Remember the table that we saw earlier? Whose is the possessive adjective of who. These are the students whose names are on the notice board. The names belong to the boys. They are possessed by the boys, hence possessive adjectives. Quick question. How do we know it's a possessive adjective and not a possessive pronoun? Tell me quickly. Because these are students whose names, whose is followed by a noun, names, whose names. And we know that adjectives are followed by a noun, whereas a pronoun replaces the noun. So who, whom and whose all relate to living beings. And when we use them as relative pronouns, the sentences will end with full stops and not question marks. Now let's look at the difference between which and of which. Which adds extra information about the subject or object in the sentence. And it's often used in non-essential clauses with commas. The car which I saw at the showroom is now sold. The key information is that the car is now sold. And by the way, I also wanted to give you some non-essential information that it's the same car which I saw at the showroom. So we use which. Of which is a possessive adjective and means a part of the whole. It usually follows a noun and is often used in more formal writing. Of which is actually very similar to whose. They're both possessive adjectives. Example, the building, the roof of which is red, is a landmark. How do we know whether to use which or of which? Here are 3 hacks for you. Replace of which with whose for things, okay? The house, the windows of which were broken, needs repair. The house whose windows are broken needs repair. Now, if you're able to use whose, then we can also use of which. So that's the first hack. Second, think of which as additional information. If the sentence provides extra details without indicating possession, use which. A park which is near my house is beautiful. Now, the main information is that the park is beautiful. The fact that it's near my house is an additional detail. There is no possession. The park is not owned by the house. This is just an additional information. And the third hack to find out whether to use which or of which is to look for part of the whole. Use of which when the subject is a part of something larger. I bought a bouquet, 3 flowers of which are roses. Part of the bouquet, 3 roses. Now that we have understood which and of which, let's see the difference between which and that. Which versus that is the most confusing difference, and I can tell you that many native speakers are also confused about these. So, both are used for non-living things and for animals and birds. Both can be used in either singular or plural. So what's the difference? This one is a little tricky, so pay careful attention. The truck, which was blue in color, met with an accident. The truck that lost its brakes met with an accident. Now in the first sentence, the blue color of the truck is not essential information. So we use which. We use comma before and after the clause. In the second sentence, the fact that the truck lost its brakes is essential information. So we use that. And there are no commas. Let's take some more examples. The painting that got burnt was beautiful. It's essential. Which painting? The one that got burnt. The house which is red belongs to Jack. Here the portion between the commas can be removed and the sentence will still make sense. The house belongs to Jack. That is the main information to be conveyed. The painting, which is from the 18th century, is famous. Non-essential extra detail. Now, here is a small table which you can pause and take a screenshot, and let's take a look at that in detail. So, what is that used for? That relates to persons or things or animals or birds, both singular and plural. I have lost the watch that you gave me. This is the boy that I told you about. Now, see these two sentences and tell me which one is correct. My father, that is a schoolmaster, is 50 years old. My father, who is a schoolmaster, is 50 years old. In such cases, we would use who, since who is more appropriate for living beings. But there are certain cases in which that is used in preference to who or which. Here is the list. We're going to discuss them one by one, but take a screenshot. The first one is for superlative degree. 2 is when any of these words are used. All, same, any, none, nothing, only, something, anything, the same, the few, the little. And 3 is for mixed pronouns, for person and non-living things or animal or bird. Take a screenshot right now and let's discuss each of them. Superlative degree. What is superlative degree? Remember this from your adjectives lesson, like big, bigger, biggest. When we're talking about the adjective in the highest degree, biggest is the superlative degree for the adjective. Now, when we have the superlative degree in a sentence, we use that. He is the best speaker that I have ever heard. This is the yummiest idli sambar that I have tasted. Now, what about all these words? All, same, only, any, none, nothing, etc. We use that when any of these words is present in the sentence. All that glitters is not gold. This is the same man that cheated me. It is only donkeys that bray. It was not for nothing that he studied so hard. Man is the only animal that can speak. The few people that came for the lunch left without eating. Such questions will come in exams to confuse you, so make sure you use that in each of these cases. And now let's talk about mixed pronouns. The boy and the dog that won the race was celebrated. The dog and the ball that were on the field are now gone. Once again, when there are mixed pronouns, we cannot use who or whose, so we're always going to use that. Now let's take up another very important relative pronoun, what. What is used to mean the things that. What he said was shocking. The things or thing that he said was shocking. What refers to things only and is used in singular form only. I understand what you mean. The thing that you mean. It is used without an antecedent. What he said is true. The thing that he said is true. Why is it used without an antecedent? The reason that what does not require an antecedent is because it already contains a noun, the thing. Take these two sentences. The thing what I want is peace. What I want is peace. The first one is wrong because what already includes the thing. So if the sentence already includes a noun before what, you cannot use what instead. You should try to use that or which. Now, which of these is correct? The book what I like is here. The book that I like is here. The first sentence is wrong and the second one is correct. We could have said what I like is here and that would have been correct, but we cannot say the book what I like is here. Here's another interesting thing about the relative pronoun what. In a sentence, what can act like a subject. Example, what happened surprised everyone. Or like an object, I didn't hear what he said. So what is more open-ended and broad in usage? Perfect. Now let's move on to the next type of pronouns called demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrate means to show something clearly, like how a teacher demonstrated a science principle using an experiment in the lab. In the same way, demonstrative pronouns are used to point to specific things, people, or ideas. They help clarify what we are referring to, whether it's near, whether it's far, whether it's singular, whether it's plural. There are 4 demonstrative pronouns. This refers to something near and singular. This is my book. These is the plural of this. So we use it for things near and plural. These are my shoes. That refers to something far and singular. That was a wonderful performance. Those is the plural of that. So we use it for things that are far and plural. Those are her keys. Now for some usage rules. First, we use demonstrative pronouns to refer to things like physical distance. We use this, these for things that are close in distance or time. This is a great idea. These are the cookies I baked. We can use that, those for things that are farther away. That is the car I told you about. Those were amazing fireworks. We also use them to refer to ideas. We can also use demonstrative pronouns to refer to something previously mentioned. She loves painting. That is her passion. Demonstrative pronouns are also used to show preference. You can use it to emphasize a choice. I prefer this over that. Do you want these or those? Next, we are going to look at a very important pronoun called reciprocal pronouns. Reciprocal pronouns are used when 2 or more people, groups, or things perform an action and the action is returned or shared mutually. Just hold on for a minute. Reciprocate means that the emotion or action is felt equally on both sides of a relationship. So there are 2 reciprocal pronouns. Each other and one another. Each other is used when the action involves 2 people or things. They love each other. Person A loves person B and person B loves person A. One another is used for actions involving more than 2 people or things. The team members help one another during practice. All the members help everyone else. The siblings always argue with each other. There are 2 siblings we are talking about. They respected each other's opinions. 2 people. The students borrowed one another's books. There are many students. They helped one another during the crisis. More than 2 people. Here's the information on a table. Take a screenshot and now let's move on to interrogative pronouns. Interrogative pronouns are used to ask questions, to interrogate. They come in place of the noun or the subject that you are inquiring about. There are 5 interrogative pronouns and we've covered the basic ground rules of many of these when we were doing relative pronouns, but let's go over them very quickly. Who, whom, whose refer to a person or persons. Who is the subject, whom is the object, and whose is the possessive pronoun. Who is calling? Person, subject. Whom did you meet? Person, object. Whose book is this? Person's possession. What? What is mostly used for non-living subjects. It's open-ended and broad. What is your favorite color? Which? Which refers to choices among a limited set of options and can be used for all subjects. Which dress should I wear? Now here is a table of information. Once again, take a screenshot and let's look at a little bit in detail about what versus which. because this once again can be confusing even for most native speakers. Use what for unlimited possibilities and which for limited choices. What do you want for lunch? Any food item. Which dish do you prefer? Pizza or pasta? It's limited to pizza or pasta. What career do you want to follow? Means you can pick any career. Which career do you want to follow usually implies that there are a few options and you need to choose between them. So here is everything once again in a table, and you can take a screenshot, and that brings us to the end of this beautiful, complete masterclass on pronouns. I hope you found it useful, and do remember to share this with your friends and subscribe to the channel for more such content. And happy learning, and see you next Friday.